Watching the insane popularity of LA Knight in 2023 has been something to behold, but what if I told you that this could all have been happening a decade earlier in 2013? LA Knight may be considered a can't-miss prospect now and an obvious choice to have on your pro wrestling company's roster, but this wasn't always the case. For many years, fans may have found him on the NWA or TNA's wrestling programs and wondering how the WWE wasn't using him. And as it turns out, he has already been there and the WWE has passed on him. Well, more specifically, one person had passed on him. Knight had made some waves on the independent circuit at the time and was one of the many guys who felt that the ever-expanding WWE developmental machine around this era was a good choice for him to get his chance in wrestling. He could have been correct in almost any other era, but in a surprising turn of events, given the current state of the wrestling world, the WWE would pass on LA Knight before he was even really given a chance. WWE has been known to have interesting developmental programs with less than stellar reputations, but this particular time frame was notorious for having a specific trainer who was accused of some pretty poor and in some cases abusive treatment of his students.
It's been said it takes 10,000 hours to master your craft. And I've been doing this for almost 28 years. And while I'm still trying to master my craft, some say I'm the best at what I do.
Bill DeMott was never really a guy who many ever saw as someone who would go on to be the guy who taught others how to be superstars. But this is exactly the job he landed. DeMott was heading up to the developmental brand for many years, and saw many come through his doors, but also saw many leave through those same doors.
How was Bill as a trainer? Do you feel that he took advantage of people?
I think that he certainly took advantage of his position of power.
People would walk in like the room and we'd wait to see if Bill was on the floor because we were like, what kind of mood is Bill gonna be in? Either you're gonna walk in and Bill's gonna be like, hey, how you doing, champ? Like, fucking yeah. Or it's gonna be this.
Yeah, he's my brother.
And like it ruins your day. It fucks your whole day because then you're like, fuck, I gotta do a Bill all day.
But he does it knowing it's gonna fuck your day.
But this is the thing, like, sure, like, so he had to play his gimmick, like the hard ass fucking. I had this
tough enough cameras are rolling.
In his head. Hard, like, and like it just changed. Like earlier in the day, we're in the office, and he's like, "Hey, come in the office. Let's talk. Let's catch up. See how things are going here." And I'd go out of it like one of two ways. A, like, hell yeah, Bill likes me. This is gonna be a good day. This is gonna be a good week. Or he'd speak in these weird riddles that you leave being more confused. He's like, "Today's Tuesday, but we need you on Friday." But it's Thursday. And you leave and you'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Is it true that if you weren't going out drinking with him, he wouldn't push you to the office? I've heard rumors of that. I don't know how true it is.
Right. I would say it was certainly the popular theory at that time.
He had his boys then?
Yeah. I mean, there were people that hung out with him in their spare time, and those were coincidentally the people that kept getting sent up. If it was my opinion, I would say they weren't necessarily the right people to go. But really, was it my opinion? No, of course not. Bill was the guy in charge. Is it right? Is it wrong? I mean, for me, I do believe that hard work should be rewarded. And I think the best guys should go up. And I think if you send the best guys up, it's going to look better on you in the end. I mean, right?
Yeah.
But I do understand wanting to look out for your friends. Wrestling has always very much been that.
Stories of DeMott's treatment of his students has now become notorious in its allegedly abusive and degrading nature. One of the more notorious incidents involved nudity and jelly donut during the training session.
Jelly donut story is the best story in the whole world. And it was used the wrong way and the wrong caption was put to it, and I tormented people and made them train naked and use jelly donuts. It's the most absurd thing in the world. But someone filmed it and put a caption to it, and they went, what do we do with that? Oh, don't eat jelly donut. Don't make a deal. Right? That was the deal. They made a deal. They didn't want to train. They made a deal. What's the deal? I'll give somebody a squisher bare ass with a jelly donut in their mouth. I look around at 40 people, and I went, deal. Guy gets naked. Other guy sits in a corner with a jelly donut in his mouth. He runs across the ring, hits the Rikishi ass bump, squishes it all over the face. Funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Everybody's ripped roaring. Okay, we're done. Everybody can go home. No training, no nothing. That was the deal. 6 years later, that picture comes out on the internet. Bill DeMott makes students train naked. The picture was blurry. It wasn't defined. It wasn't anything. All you could see was me in the background going.
Men like Kenny Omega, Sami Callihan, and others came and went through this developmental system, but given his success and the success of LA Knight now, it raises a few questions. One of those questions being if it's more well known at this point for who leaves the system than graduates the system. Now, why would this matter to the long-term story of LA Knight, and what does it have to do with why he was let go from WWE in 2013? Apparently, everything. LA Knight has remained tight-lipped about his reason for being let go in recent interviews and conversations about his previous stint in the company, but if you go back enough, you'll be able to find him being more than open about the topic.
Everybody talks about the last time you're down in NXT, the Bill DeMott situations and things like that, and obviously no love lost, I'm sure, after what happened to him.
Well, I mean, look, I think, I mean, obviously, I guess justice was served in some way with his exit there. A lot of stuff worked out. I ended up getting signed to WWE in 2013. I did the show with The Rock, The Hero, around the same time.
Yeah.
And then all this stuff just started happening. Of course, the WWE thing didn't work out as well as I'd hoped.
What would you say was the biggest reason for that?
If I'm honest,
I say be 100% honest.
Well, at
man.
the core of it, it's me.
Okay.
I'm so not good at hiding my feelings, and Bill DeMott and I did not get along.
Get out of town.
What a surprise, everybody.
Get the F out of town.
This just in. Bill DeMott didn't get along with somebody. Now, I will say I didn't get it to the degree of what I hear some of the guys got at FCW, where they were getting some of the physical stuff, because there were cameras and microphones and everything at the PC. So, like, eyes were on you at all times. So it was different ways that he'd mess with you. I mean, it was very strange, because he'd come in some days and like we'd be cool. Another day I'd come in, I'd be like, "Good morning, Bill." He'd look at my hand and just walk away and not shake my hand. It was you know, here's the head coach, like, you go to say hello. There's a big etiquette thing with wrestling, I don't know if you guys know out there, but every day you come in, you shake everybody's hand, you introduce yourself, you say hello, whatever. You go up to say hello to the head coach, who you figure is supposed to be your example, right? And he looks at your hand and walks away. It's like, you're the head coach. Like, you're supposed to be an example. And he'd always say, "Oh, I'm working, but..."
What do you mean I'm working?
Yeah,
like he's working you?
Yes,
like,
I don't know.
That?
I don't know. It's
Like,
bullshit. Is what
I'm
it
working.
is.
I'm doing my job. I don't have time to shake it.
No.
Okay, that you're being a dick, but I can see your point. I'm working.
No,
he means he's working.
He
you?
means he's working the boys.
To what end?
I don't know. And it was just a lot of BS. Tells other people he hates you, this stuff, but then tells you that he's working. And then I'd hear that, like, you know, he said he hated me to a couple people, and that's fine. We don't have to be best friends, but I ended up going in and talking to him, because I was like, well, I'm not just going to ignore that. And I was like, hey, so we need to talk. And he's like, what's the problem? I said, well, I'm hearing that you're telling people you hate me. That's fine. I said, we don't have to be best friends or anything, but if that's going to impede my progress, I shouldn't be here. I should move on.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, don't get caught up in all this high school BS. I'm just working when I'm saying that. And I'm like, what do you mean? We're not, like, in a situation where that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And I could have chosen to react to that a certain way, but man, I have a habit of just being very straightforward. Like, I remember exactly when that happened. We were just setting up the ring for a show at NXT, and it's like, I think he'd asked somebody, where are we setting up Gorilla, and I'd remember from the last time, I was like, oh, we set it up here actually last time.
Yeah.
And then I continued on to do whatever, and he just turned around and he's like, I effing hate that guy. And it's like, okay, cool, but why am I here if that's the case? Because at every point I can remember specifically, Michael Cole said something to him about, hey, I want this guy to do this, whatever. Whoa, watch out. And Bill just turns, I'm standing right there, and Bill goes, yeah, well, he doesn't take direction very well. And I'm just looking at Bill like, what did I do to you?
Yeah.
And so the problem is, a lot of guys can take that and keep it inside. I can't. And so at the end of the day, that falls on me. No matter what he did, no matter what he said, no matter how he reacted to me, I had a choice to take it one way or the other. The only crazy thing is that somehow that story got blown up that I stormed in the office, slammed the door, and was looking for a fight.
Huh.
Which is complete insanity. There's cameras in the damn place. Anybody that knows me knows I'm not that type of guy to come in all guns ablaze, and now I came in and I was very assertive. The thing that shocked me was there were only 2 people in that office. There were only 2 people that knew that either of us were even there talking about this. So if that's the story that got around, who put the story out? And I don't want to point fingers, but then that eventually gets to Hunter, who then repeats the story back to me the day before I was fired, and tells me that I have to have respect for the coaches, and I did, because I got along with all of the coaches except him. And he's the guy who writes the reports and says, oh, this guy, no, he's not ready, blah, 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 whatever.
In wrestling, the tiniest thing can be used as a reason as to why you are not going to be used or pushed. This often leads to the people who are in charge being able to use that power to push out people they don't like while helping out those whom they are friends with. This seems to be the case with LA Knight's original run with the company. He just wasn't one of Bill DeMont's boys. Whether or not LA Knight would have reached the levels he is at today back in 2013 had he stayed with the company is impossible to say. But when you look at the guys who left under that Bill DeMont regimen, it's hard to think that WWE didn't miss out on some really great talent due to whatever issues DeMont would have with them. In a sport where nepotism determines every aspect of who becomes the next big thing or the next one to be future endeavored, it's easy to forget it's often one in leadership roles who are the problem. It's easy to forget sometimes a lot of men have had their past sabotaged by something as small as a handshake or just not going to drink with someone whether they drink or not. It's easy to not even ask why whether a guy hangs up their boots or just assume that they didn't have what it takes, but sometimes someone is able to push back against what is holding them down and against all odds make it to places the ones who held them down could never dream of seeing.
And he tweeted back to me recently after hearing me on Xbox podcast and said, I'm sorry if anybody feels that I hated them. It's BS. I completely ignored that tweet up till right now. Exclusive. But nah, I mean, I wanted to just be like, you know what, go after yourself, Bill. But I mean, as far as like something that I think about on a daily basis, no, I don't care. I mean, move on with your life. I moved on with mine. I'm loving life, making money doing what I love to do, making good money doing it, and I'm living comfortably. I drive a Corvette, live in LA, baby. Hell yeah.